Grand Rising family, Grand Rising Jackson. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody had a good night's sleep. Everything is well on this end. Hope everybody's doing good. But anyway, yeah, it's a lot going on here in the city of Jackson. I want to talk about this redistricting thing. What's really going on, Jackson, with it? What is really going on with this redistricting thing that they got going on? I know they got something type of protest rally thing they got going on today down at the convention center about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I really wish I could have got out there. I can't really don't have anything, no input to talk about because I didn't get a chance to get out there to the AME church over there, the Pearl Street AME over there on Monday because they had a meeting over there, with the redistricting. Benny Thompson, the mayor, everybody was over there. Zakiya Summers, everybody was over there. I just couldn't get away over there. So, I was just like, man, because I really would definitely would have given you an update on that. Yeah, I just got off the phone, with a relative of mine. He was talking about that thing. I'm like, it's a lot of factors in all of that. I think something like Benny Thompson is something like, his job is in jeopardy or whatever with this redistricting thing or whatever. I don't know. It's just like I said. It's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is like, I don't know. I don't know what that's gonna mean for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? I don't know because I don't follow. I don't really follow the politics side of things too much because um the reason why, which I should, but I don't, because the reason why it don't interest me because I can't get nobody to tell me where is a electoral college here in the city of Jackson. Because the electoral colleges is what determines the presidency, and I'm not understanding, because I do remember distinctively when George Bush to the second power ran for president the first time, right? Because he had served 2 terms. When he ran for president and he ran against Al Gore, he beat Al Gore in Florida. It was because of the elect. Now Al Gore won the popular vote. He won the electoral vote. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. So I'm just so that's why I that's why I kind of disassociated myself with with that aspect of politics because it was never clear to me about the city of Jackson where the electoral colleges are. But if you can, just drop a little. If you know the answer to that, leave me a comment. I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment if you know the answer to that, because we know that's what determines the presidency. Where's your voice? If you don't have an electoral college in this city of Jackson, where's your voice in that process? You know. So, but my main stick was the local. Kind of being the local. I ain't talking about the Senate. I ain't talking about the Congress. I ain't talking about none of that. It's about the local, like the city council, the mayor, stuff like that. I'm kind of I look at that because that's directly affects me. Something going on in my neighborhood directly affects me. When they pass on, when they take, like for example, like Parks Department. When they take funding away from Parks Department and put it somewhere else, that affects me. What's going to become of that? That affects me directly. That's in my neighborhood. You know, so that's what kind of so that's where I draw my concerns and stuff at. So I'm not. That's why I said I'm not really too much. I don't know too much about that side of the other side of the politics with this redistricting stuff. It's just not really. I'm just not interested. I'm not interested in this. But anyway, so but they, like I said, they got that going on, and I hope they get that man. I hope they get it resolved, because I do take notice of they talked about it in Texas, Louisiana, Tennessee, Alabama, and now Mississippi. I don't know about Georgia and in Florida, but I'm quite sure it's going to happen. This mess is going to trickle all over the South. I'm quite sure. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what it means. What is it going to mean for black folks? I don't know what it's going to mean. You know, call me biased, call me whatever you want to call me, but hey, you know, if 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 it's in the direct effect, I'm gonna take notice of it and I'm gonna call it out. I'm not I'm not trying to be disparaging of no other race and nothing like that. I'm not finna say, well, if it wasn't for, you know, it'd be for, they ain't gonna do that in the white neighborhood. I'm not finna do all that mess. They ain't gonna do it in the white neighborhood. I'm not finna do all that. That sucks. It's whack. You know what I'm saying? But I am gonna call it out. Because if you're targeting just a certain area, then that needs to be called out. Because what it appears, that's what it appears, that you're targeting the black community. If it's just happening, that redistricting is just happening in the black community, then what does it look like? What does it look like? So I'm just, some folks call it out. Some folks don't look at it like that. Hey, that's them. But me, I'm gonna call it out for what it is. You know what I'm saying? Why is you just doing it for just this area and not this area? You know what I'm saying? What's the difference? And maybe there is maybe it might be some legitimacies. Who knows? I don't know. That's why I said I don't know. I'm not, that part of the aspect of it did never spark my interest. But I'm gonna try to get some type of education on it. Later on down the line, and kind of get some clear understanding to what this thing is about, so I can kind of make my assessments, and then I can come back to you and talk to you about it, and give my assessment on it, they got the, people are talking about this NAACP stuff, you know what I'm saying, I hear about this on the news. I just look, none of that stuff, if it's not directly affecting me, look, the only thing that kind of I was kind of concerned about, and when they was talking about NAACP was talking about those ARPA dollars, saying during the pandemic with this water crisis. That's the only thing that I was kind of looked at, because I'm like, hell, that's directly affects me. If we was discriminated on some level, let's talk about that. Let's put that out there in the open and put it on blast, and let's make it right. 9 times out of 10, when things like that happen, some type of injustice like that happens, only thing people want is it to be done, people to be made whole. Get it right. If there is something biased or something racist or whatever the case may be, make it right. Make it right. You're serving the public. Racism don't stand in the public. Being biased don't stand in the public. But it still happens. It don't need to be in the public. Private, do whatever you want to do. You're not taking no if you're not taking no public funding, like nobody's funding your business, whatever the case may be, you can do whatever you want to do. You can be as racist as you want to be on your private property. You know what I'm saying? But as far as you being in the public, nah. So that's no. It doesn't make sense. And then it's the Constitution for the United States of America. That's public law. That applies in the public. So let's keep that a buck here. The Constitution for the United States of America applies. Why my nose itching? But it applies in the public. Let's keep that real. So, if you got some type of grievancy or some type of anything that's going to violate that Constitution, it's going to be you need to stand up. Somebody going to stand up, put you in your place. You can't discriminate. You can't discriminate. You can't do none of that. If you taking Federal Reserve notes or you getting funded, you cannot be discriminatory on no level, whether you're a business or whatever. So that's kind of what I try to harp on that a lot because people don't understand that. But if you private, you can do what you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do. But if you public and you serving the public, you can't be racist. You can't be racist and none of that stuff. So, but anyway, so but that's that for that. You know what I'm saying? We gonna kind of get that thing figured out with with the redistricting stuff like that. So, but yeah, and but I want to kind of talk about these businesses. That I was like, for me, in like like our communities or whatever, because like I support the Jane Avenue community. I do. I support that because, like I said, that directly affects me. I support that. People making strides. You got a team of people making strides, and they make the community to help better the community. Yeah. But my main concern is this. This is the reason why I say my main concern is we all need to galvanize in a way where where we're heard, and where we're heard in such a way where if we put a petition together, automatically we're gonna get what we need, because the thing is that if we're putting forth an effort to keep our neighborhoods and stuff clear, clean, and respectable, then our politicians should hear our voices as residents of the city. If we're taking the initiative to do this, then if we put a petition together about a convenience store, like some of these convenience stores around here with the price gouging and all that mess, they need to hear us. Selling loose cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? You're selling loose cigarettes. That's illegal. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you're selling alcohol beverages to minors or not. But if you are, it's illegal. If they're allegedly doing that, all of it is alleged. If they're allegedly doing it, it's all illegal. I remember when I was a kid, back in the days, I used to come down here. This is my mother's hometown, right? And I used to come down here, and I used to go up here to Black's Mini Mart over on South Drive, where the two fellows was brothers. They owned, they had invested in the store, and they was doing very well. It was a family-owned business, right? It was a family-owned business. They was doing very well with that store, right? They had the laundromat next door, where the lady would be there, and she was get the money out the machines, and make sure the machines was working correctly, and this, that, whatever, and doing, you know what I'm saying. And it was a very well ran business. But later on down the line, those folks got older, and they didn't want the business anymore. So what they did was, they sold it to the Indian community, right? But there was a standard that the Black's family had with the community, that those people, that the people that the Indian community didn't keep up. They at first they did, but then they slacked off. Case in point, when the Blacks family had the store, you can go in there, you could get cut meat. Had a little, it's like a little mini mart, little mini supermarket. Go in there, get cut meat, get fresh vegetables, get everything, right? And no, and they kept a standard, and the meat was always fresh and everything. You can just go straight home and cook it. I just give example like their sausages, for example. Guy be behind the counter, Mr. Blacks be behind the counter and make up your sausages, weigh them, one side, one about, you want to go in there and get about $10 worth of sausages, whatever, you go in there, break you up some sausages, weigh it, and then wrap it up, say what else now for you. And then, boom, you know what I'm saying? And go home, and that day you get your carton of eggs, whatever, and you probably already had some grits or whatever, and you making breakfast that morning. But what they did was, they went in there, and when the Indian folks came in, if you remember, they came in and they sold the sausages frozen because they weighed more. They weighed more. Come on, man. You don't treat the people like that. I want to go home and cook this immediately. See, it's a standard. It's a standard about caring about the community and what the people want. Because I always know, if you give people what they want, they're gonna give you what you want. But they didn't want to keep the standard up. Yeah, they had the Blacks family. They had this thing where you get credit, right? They open up the book, write your name down if they knew you. They write your name down. You came back on that Friday. You worked through that week. Came back on that Friday. You paid them for that week. They kept that up. Eventually, they stopped. Eventually, they stopped. And then nobody wanted to go, and then folks got tired, because then some of the Indian folks in there was talking crazy to people. It was talking crazy to people, treating people like like criminals and stuff like that, and talking crazy to people. So, I mean, but then after a while, it changed hands. It changed it to another Indian family. Then they took the whole entire store and they changed the whole store around. They put a barricade up to where you come in, so where they didn't have to deal with you. I mean, I'm telling you, they did that, and for me, that sucked. It sucked. You're not involved with the community no more. No more. It's no longer a community store. It's one of them, just a regular convenience store. It's like it's like one of them Arab joints, selling crack pipes and all that mess and all that crap. Come on, B. But see, let me tell you this. That's our fault. Because we allowed it. We allowed that mess to go on. Now, fast forward to 26, got folks them folks selling, they're back selling loose cigarettes. That's illegal. They back selling that. That's not alleged. That is not alleged. They back selling loose cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. What's really going on? Then they price gouging. You go in there one day, you know what I'm saying, cigarettes and beer is one price, and then later on in the afternoon, go in the morning time, it's this price, coffee is this price, in the afternoon, cigarettes and beer is one price, then next, in the afternoon is another price. Or the next morning it's another price. It's another price every time somebody come behind that counter, because they ain't got no labels on it. They had somebody in the store, with the little label gun with the prices on it, and they just they don't do that no more. They don't do that. They don't keep that standard up. Once again, that's our fault. We don't have control of our community in that way. Case in point, this old store down used to be down there on Lindsay. Right there, Lindsay and Jane Avenue. Been vacant for months, maybe a year or so. Been vacant. Ain't nobody. That right there, we should be picking that store up. The black folks in this community should be picking up that store, pooling our resources together, getting that store together, and buy black for us, by us. I'm sorry to be, biased here, or whatever the case may be, but I'm just being real. Because if you're not gonna treat us right, we gotta treat each other right. We gotta treat each other right. We have to have a standard. If we don't have we need to have a standard in our community. You're not gonna come into our community and treat us with disrespect, or treat our children with disrespect. And you're not gonna conduct. And if you're gonna come in our store and set up a business, you're gonna conduct. Look, you're gonna conduct business. Look, ain't nobody asking you nothing asking you for something for nothing. Yeah, you probably do got folks out there that's gonna ask you for something for free, but who don't? Ain't a store I don't know that you got some characters gonna come in there. Oh man, let me get that for me. You ain't gotta act like that. Let me, you know what I'm saying? You can let me go for 12 cents. You're gonna have them type of characters. But if you're doing business, if you're doing business, I just heard a squealing of a car, and my child ain't in yet, and I'm concerned. But if you're doing business and you're on the up and up, the people in the community is going to defend your honor. It's going to defend your honor. I'm telling you. If you're good to people, just by being upright business person, treat everybody with respect, remember names, helping people, assisting people when they need some type of assistance, be legitimate in your dealings. Don't tolerate certain things that's unethical. The people will defend you. And I don't care who you are. I don't care what community you're from, what race you're from, what culture, whatever. I don't care. All you got to do is come in and do business. Do business. Even if black folks was to take their store on Lindsay, if the Indian folks around here that already own businesses, if you're doing business the way you're supposed to, ethically, all it is friendly competition. That's all it would be. It would be friendly competition. You know what I'm saying? People galvanize. And just like I said it before, I'll say it again. I go to the meetings. I ain't seen not one business owner come to that meeting. You think them folks up there in Black's gonna come to the Jane Avenue meeting? You think them folks over there on Bobby Rush right there in Jane Avenue is gonna come to the meeting? No. They don't give a ding dong. What's going on in Jackwood? Well, we clean up the neighborhoods. They clean up the neighborhoods. They're doing it. See, this is what I'm talking about. Legitimacy of business. Business owners should want to take interest in the community because the people is patronizing them. That's too much like right. I'm just gonna keep that a buck. That is too much like right. And they're not finna do that. I have not seen it yet. You got judges. Oh man, you got folks coming and running for office, coming up into the meetings. I mean, talking about this, talking about that. You got folks, you got invites, people from the water department. You got people from Parks and Rec, or some other different type of people coming in and talking to the people. But nobody's sitting in that audience from a business around here, around Jane Avenue. No, they don't come to the Jane Avenue meetings. And that's what I'm saying. Why you ain't part of it? Why you not a part of the community? Because they're too busy trying to make money. They don't care. They don't care. Because they're going to go back to their community, and that's it. And that's it. Way to do business. Way to do business. So, but I just want to land my plane on that. You know what I'm saying? We just, those are just some things that I want to kind of touch on, because, like I said, from a local aspect, because heck, that stuff affects me directly. So you see those type of things that affects me directly. You know what I'm saying? And Zakiya Summers can't do everything. She can't do everything by herself. See, Credell Calhoun and his wife only can suggest but so much. They don't know everything. We need more people in there with more ideas. We need people in there coming in there with more ideas. What's up with the zoning? Why is it so hard to get things zoned correctly? Why they're active? Why they're not being as active as they should be over at that community meeting on Jane Avenue? Why is nobody asking these types of questions? Is what we need to be asking, because that's what makes a community. Local businesses doing business with the community and building the business up and keeping everything in the community. Then you got police. If you're doing business, if you got control of the community and you're doing business the way you're supposed to, the police ain't got no problems coming in there getting a cup of coffee. Because the legitimacy of your business is going to be at a standard. So, but, that's, hey, but that's just the way things work, the reality of the way things work is sad. And a lot of it is our fault. A lot of it is our fault, because we're not trying to take interest in getting control. You know what I'm saying? Because, well, let's just keep it a buck here. A lot of us don't have no money. A lot of us don't have no money. Our credit is jacked up. We can't go to the bank and say, hey, look, listen, we need a loan for $10,000. Because just think about it, if you had 10 people that could get a loan for $10,000, that's $100,000 right there. 10 people. You ain't got to do 10. 5. 5 people that can get a loan for $10,000. They can go down there, open up Jane Avenue grocery store, and it'll thrive. Not Jane Avenue, but the store in Lindsay. All you have to do is 5 people to get a $10,000 loan, and go on there and gut that sucker out and put new product in that sun gun and open it up for business. Booyah, business open. Community for us, by us. But our credit jacked up. The banks don't want to loan no money on high risk individuals. When they look at your consumer reports and they're looking at your behavior, they don't want to do no business with you. These uh, uh, the zoning committees and stuff like that. I mean, are we gonna give? They're gonna give you a hard time. What they gonna do? I'm really concerned with that. I got a problem with them. I got a problem with them because a lot of them rules and regulations that they got going on, it stops a lot of things, a lot of events from happening. Because you got to get the crack zone, and if it ain't zoned, they won't allow it. Like the skating rinks. Certain areas don't allow skating rinks. Where's the kids gonna go? Boys and girls clubs is full. YMCA's is full. Where else they gonna go? Right. Then you got security companies around here. They can't. They only working what they gonna work. They should be contracted out. They should be contracted out with full authority. Nah. I'm telling you, it's on the chokehold. City on the chokehold. Everything ain't black folks' fault. They got a lot of crap going on downtown. They give permits and stuff to who they want to give permits and stuff to. I didn't see. Look, I didn't see that with my dead eye. I used to go down there to the permits place and get permits and stuff like that. I seen that. Telling you, man. Never gave me no hard time. Because I go in there and get what I need. I'm already established. I go up there and get what I need. Come back, get my thing notarized, get on out of there and get on down. So I'll talk to y'all next year. I don't post a threat. So I'm just saying, you know, I mean, it's going on. What's going on down there? I don't know. I could be all of it. All of it is alleged, though. It's alleged. Everything is alleged. I mean, I'm not even gonna, you know, but I mean, I done seen some things going on. You know what I'm saying? How something happens, how people up and just get some things just so quick. Because you got the bread, you get what you want. You got the money, you get whatever you want. They was just talking, somebody talk about, you know, folks coming and they buying a property downtown. Indian folks buying property up downtown. For what? What they gonna do? Because if the same standards that they have when they open up their businesses in the communities, that it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck. Case in freaking point. Over there at the Jackson Square. Man, I remember years ago, my church had they had rented out space over there. Man, them folks over there, they do business really screwed up. Same standards. Indian folks, same standards. They came in that sucker, paid them rent, and they still locked the doors on us. They came in and locked the doors on us. Paid them rent. Man, we got up in that sucker, picked up them fuels, picked up everything that same day and got on down. They tried to take the pastor to court. I told them what to do. They didn't have no standing. Cause they were paid. Come on, man. Get out of here with that mess. same standard. So I'm not confident in anybody having the same. I'm not confident in if the standards is going to be different. With them buying up all them businesses downtown, buildings and stuff. I ain't confident. What, they gonna sell it off for a bundle for somebody else to come in here? I ain't confident. Not confident at all. But what I am saying is, I'm talking about our community, black folks. We need to have control over our community. But just think about what I said earlier. If you had 5 people to get a $10,000, maybe a $20,000 loan, I just say 10,000. That's $50,000 right there. $50,000. How much is it gonna cost to get that business back up and running? Find out what that number is, and secure a loan for double the amount. How much is it gonna cost to get that business up and running? Let the vendors want to come in and do business. Legitimize it. Man, let me tell you something. I used to be a vendor back in the day before I lost my eyesight. And believe me when I tell you, them local Indian stores, folks don't want to do no business with them. Because they always trying to get over on you. They always want to try to get over on you. Some of them, yeah. You know, they come in, yeah, you know what I'm saying, yeah, fill up the box, this, that, whatever, going in there and the business. But a lot of them, no. They want you to cut them a deal. They want you to cut them a deal. No. And the way you treat people in the community, no. You get the same deal anybody that a regular chain store get. Same thing. Give you the same price. You can cut no deal. I'm not cutting you no deals. If do you want it, you don't. If not, we out of business, because if that's your main seller, you won't be out of business. Ain't nobody gonna come up in here. So, but that's it for me. I'm not gonna harp no more. I'm done. Yo, we're gonna see y'all tomorrow. Yo, thanks for watching the 601 Network. This is Real Jackson News. I just wanted to, kind of talk about some things real quick. And we will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.